Hello, my name's McGarrigle. I'm chairman of the World Retail Congress, and welcome to this week's update from the World Retail Congress. And I'm delighted to have with me here Lord Stuart Rose, who's chairman of Ocado and a number of other key retail businesses and startups around the world. And Stuart, one of the things I wanted to ask you was really related to our theme for this year's Congress, which is high velocity retail, and really wondered across the businesses that you're involved with, what does that mean to you?
Well, listen, I came into retail 40 years ago, embarrassingly a long time ago. I came into retail because I like change. But one thing that's happened is over every one of those 40 years is that the rate of pace of change has accelerated. And we all know the reasons for that, because we've got modern communications, we've got social media, we've got now a demand-led economy rather than a supply-driven economy as we used to have in the past. And we have got people who want instant gratification. And despite the fact that we have had recessions and we've had global meltdowns, actually in real terms, people are better off. They have got more disposable income, but they're being very thoughtful about how they spend their money. Those of us who get it right will succeed, and those of us who don't get it right will fail.
So what do you think makes for success in today's retail world?
Well, call it old-fashioned, but I still actually believe that the fundamentally most important thing you've got to have with any proposition is you've got to have the right product. It doesn't matter if you're selling electronics, it doesn't matter if you're selling clothing, it doesn't matter if you're selling food. You actually have to have the right product at the right price, which is what I've always called value. And if customer sees value and sees something they want, they will buy it. But it has become more competitive. There are many more channels to market. There are many more players out there. So you have to be very agile, very quick, very effective, and very on the money about how you get those goods in front of customers, because if you don't do it quick enough, and speed is of the essence here, velocity, someone will beat you to the game.
So it's interesting you focus on the core basics of retail, actually not really changing the right product, the right place, but it's those tools, it's the channels that are for many legacy, long established retailers, it's the biggest challenge. I mean, is time on those businesses' side to make those radical changes and investments?
Well, it is, but the change is something which is some people find frightening. Unfortunately, most people find it frightening, and a few people find quite exciting. But you cannot avoid it. There's change in politics, as we've seen massively around the world, and particularly in the UK over the last 3 years. There is change in behaviour. There is change in tastes, whether it's now with people travelling more often and more frequently. There is change in eating habits, people on food on the go and all sorts of things. You can't ignore these things. And if you look back at those retailers, particularly there's people involved in selling consumer goods who've been successful, they've been ahead of the curve. And those who have been in line have actually been failures, and those obviously who have been behind the curve have been complete failures. You've got to keep moving, you've got to anticipate. But if you're a business or a team or a chief executive in today's retail world, you've got to have your finger on the pulse of everything that's going on. You've got to have antennae twitching everywhere. Because as I used to say, also the saying that if David Beckham goes to a party today in Los Angeles with a white tie on, somebody will almost instantaneously, within 2 minutes, go into a place or go online on something to look for a white tie in the UK. You got it, you'll do business. You haven't, they'll go somewhere else.
And presumably retailers these days can't do it all on their own. I think a key word is partnership. And I know with businesses like Ocado that you're chairing, you're an exponent of very much partnering with retailers. You
put your finger on it. I mean, us old-fashioned retailers of old, I can call myself that, and you're younger than me, but you're possibly in the same fold. We're a similar generation. We used to do it all ourselves. And we used to pride in doing it all ourselves, and our brand was the best, and nobody else's brand. And Tesco would compete against Sainsbury's, and Sainsbury's would compete against Asda, and Asda would compete against Marks and Spencer, and the like. Today, you can't operate like that. You have to operate now with cooperation. You have to use your skill set and match it with somebody else's skill set, hoping that 1 + 1 equals more than 2. And you just referenced the deal at Ocado, where I happen to be chairman, with Marks and Spencer. I believe that M&S's needs are there. Ocado can provide the wherewithal. I actually think both of us will come out of that with, as I say, 1 + 1 equaling more than 2. That's got to be the way it goes. Cooperation, name of the game. Let's go for it.
Last question. I mean, so many of the headlines that you read about retail in Europe, particularly in the States, are very negative, very depressing almost. You've been around quite a few years, as you just referenced. What's your mood, your sense about the retail future?
Well, listen, it's always cyclical. We have our ups and we have our downs, but you should not be in this game if you're a glass half full man or woman. You've got to be, by definition, in retail, in consumer, whether it's, say, food, electronics or clothing. You've got to be a glass half full person. You've got to be optimistic. And really, it does come back to the fundamentals I mentioned earlier, that if you've got the right product in the right place, at the right price, at the right time for the customer, they'll come and spend their money with you.
That's great. Stuart, Lord Stuart Rose, thank you very much for joining me this week, and thank you all for watching this week's update from the World Retail Congress. And of course, we look forward to seeing you in just a few weeks now in Amsterdam on May the 14th to the 16th. Thank you.